I think you have to segregate, first of all, when you're buying bonds, between long-term bonds and short-term bonds. The long duration bonds, the idea that you would subject yourself to negative real interest rates is stupid. You forego consumption in favor of somebody else, and you take the credit risk. And in return for that, they give you back less money than you gave them. This is not a force of nature. It takes Congress to do this, right? Short-term debt is something very different. It's liquidity. I have had periods of time in my life, Robert, when I had no cash. And I've had periods of time in my life when I had a lot of cash. And I was happier and slept better during periods of time when I had a lot of cash. I consider cash to be a soporific, and I like to sleep. From the point of view of a financial plan, cash, liquidity, gives you the means and might give you the courage to take advantage of a circumstance where there was a liquidity shortage. Going back to 2008, late 2008, 2009, were very good investing periods for me because of the liquidity crisis. I maintained a lot of liquidity going into that, and I was able to buy assets because I had the ability. And because I had the ability, I had the courage. The consequence of that is that ever since, I've been running fairly high cash balances, even though the cash guaranteed diminished returns in the near term on my purchasing power. I consider the negative real interest rate that I suffer to be an option premium because the cash gives me the tools and the courage to take advantage of any future crisis in confidence or crisis in liquidity. And I actually think that a crisis, while not a certainty, is a probability. So I understand that on my cash holdings, I'm losing 4 or 5% a year in purchasing power. But I think the circumstance might come about in the next 2 or 3 years where the consequence of having that cash is 50, 60, or 100% returns on capital employed by deploying that cash.
So let me poke holes in my theory. Like I said, that little Vietnamese woman in 72, and she wouldn't sell me the gold at a discount. I couldn't believe that. I was just asking for $5 discount. She wouldn't do it. I saw the Vietnamese running with a gold leaf, not US dollars. And then I go to Hong Kong and I buy my first Krugerrand. I still have that Krugerrand. I paid $50 for it. It's in Switzerland now, but that Krugerrand is now worth approximately $1,900. So I'm always saying to Kim, I want you to poke holes in my logic. I don't save cash. I save gold and silver. And if I ever need the cash, I think gold and silver are liquid. Is that erroneous or?
No, gold and silver are extremely liquid. They're one of the most liquid asset classes in the world. I'm a lender, and I love lending against gold and silver, particularly gold and silver where I control rather than the borrower controlling the collateral. They're enormously liquid. I live in a circumstance that, even given the problems that we face today, is substantially more civilized, more benevolent than the young Vietnamese woman who, the choices that she had in terms of her savings and her business were limited compared to the choices that you and I exhibit. Also, because of the asset classes that I deploy capital into, include what you would call derivatives, what I would call securities, having access to cash to access securities markets without having to sell my gold or silver is convenient for me. Interestingly, because as an example, I'm the largest shareholder of Sprott, a large financial services concern, which is built around gold or silver. A financial planner would tell me that I didn't need to own any gold, that my life was already leveraged to gold. But again, owning physical gold makes me sleep better.
Right.
I'm 69 years of age. I like to sleep. And I consider, like you do, gold and silver to be cash, good cash, but it's volatile cash. The problem breaks down with some in your audience, Robert, because if they own gold and there was a liquidity crisis and the price of gold temporarily fell, they would be less inclined to sell the gold and turn that into an asset, which they could then use to buy another asset. Many people, although they own gold, don't regard it as liquidity. They don't regard it as cash. And if let's say that their average cost in gold is $1,800 and the price falls to $1,500, the price of another asset that they want to buy fell by half, but they feel this strange compulsion not to accept a small loss in cash to take advantage of a bigger opportunity. So in that sense, psychologically, right, for many people, precious metals aren't cash. I don't suffer that same circumstance. For me, it's good cash. It's volatile cash. I, like you, have had some precious metals for a very long time. And it's lovely to see my savings appreciate as opposed to depreciate.
Right. Yeah. So the other thing, because we're real estate guys,
we'll get in there.
But go ahead. If we need cash, we borrow money.
Understand that in the wrong set of circumstances, Robert, and I hate to attract your core thesis, if the government decided that they didn't like the use that you were putting your real estate to, you would find that you didn't own it. That rather you had a conditional use permit. I'm not saying that real estate is a bad asset class. I guess I'm saying in the face of government, every asset class is bad. And by the way,
I'm just saying my cash comes from debt.
I mean, the idea the lovely thing in real estate from my point of view, I'm no good at it, but it's treated me well. The idea that my return on capital employed increases with inflation while my cost of capital, which is to say my mortgage, stays fixed.
Right. I love it. I love debt.
A gift from God.
I know.
Just a gift from God.
You're saying that, you're holding cash. A lot of people we know, and we are holding some cash. And you're talking about 2 to 3 years, there's going to be opportunities. Can you expand upon all of that?
I can't. I don't know where the opportunity will come. I really can't. My crystal ball is cracked and cloudy. I know that we've come off a 40-year period that has been as benign as any 40-year period in human history. And I believe that some of the benefits that we saw over the last 40 years, globalization and free trade, the demographics of the baby boom, technology, but particularly declining real interest rates, are over.
Yep.
And I don't know how that manifests itself. I know that as the world becomes more political, as people begin to believe that the allocation of utility in society should occur by government rather than by delivering utility to the customer, that the world will become more political and hence more hostile. People will come to believe that other people owe them something, irrespective of the utility that they've delivered. And that's not a recipe for peace.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. The fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.